Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Lisa Perrywood. I am the interim minister here at First Parish in Wayland. Welcome to this service, the celebration of life for Sandy Hoyt. We begin, as we do most Sundays, by lighting our chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, and I'll invite Shelley Ruiz to come forward. As Shelley lights the chalice, I'll read these words by Lady Bridget and Lady Therese from the Book of Rituals that Sandy co-authored. I will love and harm none. I will live, love, die, and live again. I will meet, remember, know, and embrace love once more for the free will of all and with harm to none.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is, can you hear me now? Okay, that's better. Good afternoon again. My name is Suzanne Reitz, and like most of us here, I was also a good friend of Sandy's. And I would like to start, we're gonna open up the circle with a little ritual, but I'd like to start with a few short memories of Sandy. Mostly about the earth-based rituals. Our journey together through this, which was we were very close through this whole long journey. And I know that the rituals were so important to both my life and to Sandy's and to the lives of everybody else who was involved. So it was a big part of Sandy's life. It feels appropriate to put a ritual into the service so that she could have that. The journey started with a course called Cakes for the Queen of Heaven. It was a Unitarian Universalist curriculum exploring feminine spirituality. When the course ended, there was a group of us who wanted more. So we continued to meet monthly, and we called our group, of course, the Cakes group. What else? When Sandy, yes, as I look back, Sandy was definitely an organizing, a dedicated, and very energetic, you could say feisty, force in forming and continuing the Cakes group. We've been meeting now for 33 years, and we are all very grateful for Sandy's dedication and energy, which kept the group meeting. For Sandy and I, our Cakes group evolved kind of naturally into offering a monthly open earth-based rituals, which was open to anybody at First Parish who wanted to come. We offered these for about 11 years, and as with everything that we did, we laughed, we explored, we made mistakes, and we supported each other in creating and offering the rituals. I think that was a really meaningful part of my life and Sandy's, that constantly just always really not agreeing all the time, but supporting each other in the rituals and creating them. I do have a funny story. We often used to smudge with sage or Palo Santo as people entered the ritual space. So you would light the Palo Santo, which is what we have here today, and it smokes a little, and you smudge somebody as a clearing, and then they would go into the space. So apparently we were really enthusiastically smudging as everybody went into the ritual space this time, and we were a little too close to the smoke detectors. So all of a sudden there was 2 huge Wayland fire trucks. They pulled up, and the sirens were blaring and the lights were flashing, and quite a few fully clad firemen came out to see where's the fire, right? Well, all they found was a group of older women, a kind of funny, maybe suspicious smell in the hallway, and a ritual room that was set up with wine glasses and food for a feast. So it was pretty funny. After a few confused moments, we all had a good laugh, and they left. And I am sure they were laughing all the way back to the fire station. Later that evening, Sandy and I took them a chocolate cake for being so kind of nice and understanding about everything that had happened. Sandy and I loved creating and offering the rituals. It was Sandy's let's do it and take charge energy that kept us both going. When one of us was flagging, she just, no, we got to do this. We have to do this. It kept us going. She lent that same let's do it energy, that feisty energy, to the labor that grew out of these rituals, which was a book that we put together called Celebrating, Honoring, and Healing. And I'll just show you a quick cover because this was a big, big deal for Sandy and I, and Sandy was ecstatic. There's a couple copies down in the vestry for later on. The book was a collection of rituals that we had offered, rituals that we thought either went over really well or that we really liked. And as I said, it was a peak experience after 3 years of work on this book to finally see it in print. And again, I have to credit Sandy's dedication and energy for keeping us going. 3 years was a long time, and I could get sidetracked with family and everything else, and nope, we were on it. So it was wonderful. The opening that we're going to do today is taken from the book. We've adapted it so that it fits the situation here today. And I can tell you Sandy would have loved this. It's taken from one of her favorite holidays, which is Samhain, which is a celebration of the dead. It's right around Halloween. And I can see her looking down, and I can hear her whispering in my ear, "Will you please stop talking and get on with it?" So, Sandy, here we go. This is for you. And I'd like to start out this ritual part with just a pause to breathe, because it's a good way to start anything that's a bit of a ritual. So just a breath in, a breath out, just feeling that air move in through your lungs, down into your body, and then feeling that air leave as it leaves your body. We'll start the ritual by preparing the altar. Today it is set to honor and celebrate Sandy's life, to bring forward her strengths, her gifts, that we might all benefit. And I know she wouldn't want anything too sweet and gooey here, so it is celebrating her mistakes also, because we can learn from those. Just a moment about the altar. There is a purple jacaranda tree on the box up there. The purple was a color for Sandy, and the jacaranda tree was like a thing that she had. She loved it. So it's up there, kind of set for Sandy. I would like to invite members of our cakes group to come forward. Marcia Giudice, Peggy Holland, Kathleen Lang, Nancy Herod, and Deborah Marshall to help with the opening. And the last member of our cakes group, Suzanne Tiberi, is online, and she's down in North Carolina with her grandkids. So we'll start by preparing the altar. We offer this water as a tonic and a symbol of the current of life that flows throughout the ages and throughout all of life. We invite Sandy's spirit to come forward in our hearts and minds, that her life may continue to inform us with new perspectives. We offer these flower petals as symbols of the beauty and the strength of Sandy's spirit, her energy that is still alive here today. And we offer the Palo Santo, that our invitations and our intentions to honor Sandy and celebrate Sandy may he be taken swiftly and sweetly up to spirit on the rising smoke. And we hope not to set off any fire alarms. And next, just to complete the opening of the space, we're going to call the spirits and the energies of the four directions, north, south, east, and west, and then, of course, the center. If they can be present with us, it's a creating of a sacred space, a space that's really set aside from our daily lives. We have just carved out this space apart from the day. We'll start with the west. Spirits of the west, of water, evening, and autumn. Move gently through us with a cooling, healing quietness and remind us of the gifts of Sandy's life. Be here with us. To the spirits of the north, of earth, night, and winter. Ground us in the ancient and timeless wisdom of the cycles of birth and death. Remind us to celebrate Sandy's life and heal in her death. Be here with us. And to the east, spirits of the east, of air, morning, and spring. Inspire us with a new perspective on our story, that we may view afresh the gifts of our friend Sandy. Be here with us. And to the spirits of the south, of fire, noon, and summer. Warm us with your strength and energy, that we may use the gifts that Sandy shared with us to benefit all of us and all beings. Be here with us. And to the center, to above and below, Father Sky, Grandmother Moon, Mother Earth. Lend us your knowledge of the unending cycles and wheel of life. Be here with us. Thank you.
Welcome again to all of you, dear family and friends of Sandra M. Sandy Hoyt. As always, we ask you to please check that your phones are silenced. We gather here today to celebrate the life and spirit of Sandy Hoyt. On behalf of all of Sandy's family gathered here, thank you for joining us to honor her life. This afternoon, we'll hear some of Sandy's favorite music. We'll have remembrances from family and friends, as well as a beautiful ritual that we've already started here. And as we've seen, that was so important to Sandy. Today, we gather to begin to say goodbye to Sandy, to remember her, to honor her, celebrate her life. Let us hold stories, memories, word pictures of Sandy in our minds and our hearts. This is all part of grieving, part of remembering, a step in the journey toward honoring Sandy by living our lives as she would want us to live them. Let there be room for tears, if that's what you feel. Tears are an expression of our love. Let there be laughter, if it comes. Joy and laughter are part of our memories. And let there be music. That all becomes part of our healing. After the service this afternoon, there'll be a reception downstairs in the vestry to which you are all welcome. The family will greet you there, and you'll have an opportunity to share more memories if you so choose. It is right that we come together today because human life is sacred. It is sacred in its being born, sacred in its living, and sacred in its dying. It's our responsibility to remember Sandy, and it's also our joy and our honor to celebrate the gift of her life with gratitude. We begin with these words. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember her. In the opening of the buds and the warmth of summer, we remember her. In the rustling of leaves and the beauty of autumn, in the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember her. So long as we live, she too shall live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. Let us begin. John Thompson will offer a remembrance as a friend, followed by Tim Hoyt, Sandy's son.
I'm not sure why I was asked to do this, because I look out amongst the faces and I think many of us could tell Sandy's stories and remembrances. Where to start? She and Dick were such a welcoming presence when we first arrived at First Parish 25 years ago. She seemed to be always present, as if she might miss something here at her second home. She volunteered endlessly. I think she served on every committee and was always anxious to volunteer. She spoke out, didn't she? In generosity, caring, and as a critic. She could switch between a kitten and a lion faster than anybody I ever knew. I valued her fierce opinions, her endless curiosity, and her always wanting to learn more. Our friendship grew. We shared dinners with them, listened to her latest good read suggestions, stories about travel, the Tiffany lamp, and other experiences. I visited them both at Traditions and in Florida. Florida was necessary for them to escape the winter and to be on that special beach to take full advantage of the sun. Most important to Sandy were her friends. Many here can speak to her loving relationships with gems and some burrs. With those friends and groups, such as cakes, both wonderful and sometimes hilarious events happened. And she was always at the center. Sandy and I really got to know each other when we began working together on what else? Rummage. Sandy loved Rummage. It served her well in finding bargains, but never another lamp, donating back what she purchased the year before, taking the advantage to clear out clutter. And what a cleaner outer she was. She was so forward-looking. Some years, church cupboards would be emptied of china. She'd take it out, and the next day, someone would bring it back. And it went out all week long. What she deemed not fine enough, and only her opinion mattered, was sent to wonderful Mary Trageser in the dollar store. I sometimes wonder how the sanctuary candlesticks survived. Rummage for her was the event that required teamwork, generosity, praise, discovery, judgment, bargaining, being amongst friends, and mostly dedication to First Parish. The mold is broken. She was an individual of her time. I love this picture. I'm going to put it up and remember her so fondly. I close with one of my favorite, pretty intimate memories. Of course, at Rummage, with patient Dick volunteered to organize the bags and wrapping in preparation of the big day. I picked up a nice ceramic lidded jar and asked Sandy what the price should be. She said, "Ask Dick, it's his." Dick modestly volunteered that it was his mother's or grandmother's cookie jar and one of the few items he had from his beloved Vermont childhood. Well, I handed it back to Dick and said, "Wrap it up, it's going home." Sandy pipes up, "What am I going to do with that?" And I said, "Sandy, you can use it for Dick's ashes." She thought that was a great idea, and home it went. Goodbye, dear friend Sandy. Thank you so for enriching our lives, challenging us, and make us laugh. You will be missed. Thank you.
Books were really important to my mother. Writing a book, avid reading of many books all the time. And also she was the children's librarian in Burlington for many years. And this book, Love You Forever, children's book, was on her bookcase at Traditions, the Payne Estate, their apartment there. And when I visited them once, I picked it up and read it to them, and it was very emotional even then, so I'm going to try to read it today, and I'm also going to interject 3 anecdotes as I go through. We'll see how this goes. So, a mother held her new baby and very slowly rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she held him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The little boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was 9 years old, and he never wanted to come in for dinner. He never wanted to take a bath. And when Grandma visited, he always said bad words. Sometimes his mother said, "You're driving me crazy." But at nighttime, when he was asleep, the mother quietly opened the door to his room, and if he was really asleep, she picked up that 9-year-old boy and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." So my mom was a people person. She thrived on new experiences and meeting new people. And this memory is when I was about 9 years old. And picture this, it's a cold autumn day. My mother takes us 3 boys into the big city, well, Boston. And so she was in her element. She brought us around. And the day ended, the culmination of the day was we went up to the top of the Hub restaurant, top of the Prudential Center for ice cream. So we sat there, sweeping views of the skyline of Charles River, eating the ice cream. It was majestic. However, at the end of the meal, she realized with horror that she had no money. So we stood up and told the waiter, and the waiter wrung his hands and went to get the manager, and all of a sudden she said, "Let's go." What? Get in the elevator. So we all went in the elevator, and on the way down, "Don't tell your father." When faced with dicey situations, my mother could decisively take action. All right, so back to the book. The boy grew, he grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a teenager. He had strange friends, and he wore strange clothes, and he listened to strange music. Sometimes his mother felt like she was in a zoo. But at night, when that teenager was asleep, the mother opened the door, and if he was really asleep, she picked up that great big boy and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." My mom was a big believer in education, both formal education and also just learning by following your curiosity. So I was a senior at Wayland High School, and I realized I could skip an elective if I did an independent study, and my idea was to make airbrush t-shirts and sell them at Grateful Dead shows. She was happy to sign off on that. I also realized I had another scheme, which was if she wrote a note, a tardy note, "Please excuse my son, Tim Hoyt, for being tardy, Sandy Hoyt," I could skip homeroom, just go to first period and get an extra 20 minutes of sleep. So she wrote one, then she wrote 5 more, and soon she would take a whole pad of paper and handwrite a note on every page. At the end of the year, when they printed the report card, it broke the machine because no one had ever had triple digits of excused tardinesses at the school. My mom was not afraid to discard norms if they didn't serve. So that teenager grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a grown man. He left home and got a house far away. But sometimes the mother got on a plane and flew to visit him. And at night, when that great big man was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." My mom loved to travel. When my daughter Diana was born, Mom and Dad caught the next flight out to Lima, Peru. That was where we were living, so she wasn't escaping, she was going to visit us. And she helped us figure out the first bath of Diana, cooked for us, and gave us a much-needed break. Then it was time for their adventure. So they booked a flight from Lima to Cusco, took the train to Aguascalientes, took the bus up to Machu Picchu. the Inca ruins on top of a mountaintop, which was in the time was a ritual center for the Incas. Wondrous day, seeing the ruins, beautiful landscape, and at the end of the day, having experienced just wondrous joy, they came down the mountain and got on a bus back to Cusco. And my mother, being gregarious, struck up a conversation with a German tourist in the seat next to her. Was chatting, and then she realized that everyone on the bus was Germans because it was a German tour group that they were not part of. So they were let off at the next town, and it was dusk in this Andean town, and they had to figure out how to get back to Cusco. Mom was completely unfazed, of course, somehow figured out how to get on a local bus with the farmers bringing their produce to market, and got back unscathed. Back to the book. So that mother got older. She got older and older. One day she called up her son and said, "You'd better come see me because I'm very old and sick." So her son came to see her. And when he came in the door, she tried to sing the song, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always," trying to derivate and spill down the fine roots of carrots. She couldn't finish the song because she was too old and sick. Her son went to his mother, he picked her up and rocked her back and forth, and he sang this song, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my mama you'll be." When the son came home that night, he stood for a long time at the top of the stairs. Then he went into the room where his very new baby daughter was sleeping. He picked her up in his arms and rocked her back and forth, and sang the song, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be."
Sandy Hoyt was born on April 14th, 1934 in Albany, New York, the daughter of Samuel T. Kaufman and Ida S. Kaufman. After earning degrees in library science at Brandeis University, Sandy became a beloved public school and children's librarian in Brookline and Burlington. When she retired, she worked part-time at the Wayland Free Library and, of course, was an active member of First Parish in Wayland. Now, Sandy loved to read. I'm told that she always seemed to have a book in her hand. She also enjoyed storytelling, going to the beach, traveling, spending time with her friends and family. And as we've heard, Sandy co-authored Celebrating Honoring Healing, a collection of earth-based rituals with her longtime friend Suzanne Reitz. This drew from the beloved celebrations that they created for First Parish and the longtime Cakes group. How wonderfully fitting that the Cakes group is sharing rituals from the book here today. When I was asked to lead this service, I reached out to some of Sandy's friends and family for memories to share. And these are some of the stories that I heard. This was from Nancy Harrod. Sandy's wit was unrivaled, such an alive and brilliant human. After my husband Tom died, said Nancy, she was the only person I knew who still gave me a hard time. It was so reassuring, she said. I thought that life indeed might go on. I'm forever grateful. It is a joy to have known her. And from Kathy Heckscher, in many ways, said Kathy, Sandy was a role model for me as well as a loyal friend. I learned so much from her strong spirit and her commitment to the things she believed in. I'm blessed to live in the condo she and Dick loved so much. I think about them both every day. Kathy Schmidt shared this. I wish I could pull up some clear memories that illustrate what a force Sandy was. I do know that she is the reason I went from a passive attendee to an active volunteer at First Parish. I don't think any of us can imagine Kathy now as a passive attendee. She could make things happen, said Kathy, and she didn't suffer fools. She could read children's stories, much like Laurel Whitehouse, and I still remember her reading of Chrysanthemum. And she was wise and caring. Linda Collins also shared some lively memories. Things we did just because they were fun, wrote Linda. Had a Halloween party, all women in witch costumes. Went to Brooklyn to see the Mermaid Parade in Coney Island. Who knew there was a mermaid parade in Coney Island? Stayed down in Miami together to escape winter. Decorated the church for Christmas numerous times. Were part of the ritual gathering that Suzanne told us about that set off the church fire alarm with fire trucks roaring onto the property. Cleaned out the church kitchen and then heard that the membership book was missing. Took the Enneagram class and learned that we were both number 7. 7s are those who always aim for fun. Sandy, she said, was true to type. I learned a few other things about Sandy from her family, who said that she thrived on new experiences and her love for travel, from stays on Cape Cod in the summer, a family driving trip from Denver to LA in 1978, a trip to Western Canada, travel to China and to Tibet, Russia, Machu Picchu, as we just heard, and an overland trip from Sweden to Italy. Sandy, I heard from many, was an enjoyer of life, a snazzy dresser, a social butterfly who loved to laugh. She was also an accomplished cook, turning the berries, quinces, or rose hips her kids would pick into jams and jellies that made the perfect gift when visiting friends. She baked artisanal bread, briefly ran a catering business, and I love this one, made and taught edible architecture, building amazing structures out of thin bread sticks and chocolate. I would love to see a picture of one of those. I would love to see the real thing, actually. By all accounts, Sandy was a community organizer who started and ran the Wayland Food Co-op in the 1970s, right out of First Parish, which became an impressive operation, evidently, buying food in bulk and splitting it into individual orders. Sandy was president of the League of Women Voters in Wayland, elected to the Wayland School Board, was active in politics and the church, and was an active participant in the online crone community. Phew! By any measure, Sandy Hoyt's life shone brightly in the eyes of her loving family, her devoted friends, her church, work, town, and other communities. There are times in the life of a community like this one when we experience the loss of someone whose life held so much history, so many beloved memories, that everyone has an anecdote or a story to tell. We know that there are more memories to share, and I encourage you to offer those to the family in conversations and notes in the days and weeks to come, or maybe at the reception afterward. This is the way we keep Sandy's spirit with us. This is how she stays alive in all of us, through remembrances like the ones we heard today. Sandy, we saw your light, your children, your many friends, your church family right here. We saw your shining light today. Through the works and deeds of your remarkable life, you made yourself known to us. We saw your bright spirit, and we are grateful. Sandy Hoyt, may your light shine on. May it be so. And now, please join me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, we come today carrying our grief, our memories, and our love. Reaching out with our minds and hearts, we join in this most ancient of human customs, honoring one whom we loved, who has died. In this moment, let us know that we are connected to all who have ever loved and mourned, going back through countless generations, reaching back into deep time, as time stops for a moment, and we are one with the eternal mystery of life and death. Breathing in the stillness, let us ground down and feel the deep earth supporting us, the trees overhead sheltering us, the sky above us all, connecting us to the universe itself. We know so little of where we come from or where we will go when this life is done. But breathing in the stillness, may we know that we are one, that we are held, that love abides. Let us be in silence together for a few moments, each adding our own silent prayers and meditations as our hearts lead us. May it be so. Amen. here. Sandy, we bless your ashes here on our altar, which will be scattered in many oceans by your family later this year. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. This is the way of life and death. Sandy, we are so very glad that you lived, that we saw your face, knew your love, laughter, and friendship, were able to share the years of your life with you. Your family and friends will always miss you and love you as wide and deep as the ocean. May everlasting light shine upon you, and may your light shine on. And now, may memories lighten grief. May the fire burning within each of us burn a little brighter because we have known Sandy. We are grateful for her life. Amen.
In a moment, we will close the circle, but I wanted to take just a minute and share a spiritual practice that was really important to Sandy and I that we did repeatedly whenever we felt like it. And it's the making of a kintu. The kintus come from the shamans of Peru up in the mountains, the Quechua, and the practice was shared with those of us in North America freely, so we're not stealing anybody's traditions. It was shared with us. So I'd like to just take a minute and tell you how those are made. I have to open this little sucker up here. Okay. Here in North America, we use bay leaves. If you were in Peru, you'd use coca leaves. But we take three bay leaves, 1, 2, 3, put them on top of each other so that the right side is facing towards you. It's your body, your mind, and your spirit. Kintus are offered, and how we offered them often was to a request for balance, for harmony in the universe, balance and harmony in your life. It could be made and offered as a request. I mean, it could be as simple as, I need a new car. So you put that kintu out to Mother Earth, and there you'd go. I think the way Sandy and I used them the most was as an expression of gratitude. It could be gratitude for anything. I remember stopping along the road on the way to a craft fair, and we passed a lake, and it was beautiful. It was so beautiful, fall, gorgeous. So we hopped out of the car, we made ourselves some kintus, and we offered them out where we just felt like we wanted to. So I give this practice to you to share. Sandy would have loved that. What I would usually do is put those leaves together. I would form my intention, be it gratitude or whatever. So I would hold it to my forehead. I would form that intention, and then I would breathe onto the kintu. It's kind of like breathing life into your prayer. It comes alive with the breath of life. So breathe that into your kintu, and then offer it someplace out in nature. I'm going to offer mine just for gratitude that Sandy was in my life and for all the things that we shared and had fun with. So there are baskets of these down in the vestry, interspersed around. So please feel free to take one. Sandy would be delighted, and we have plenty. So you may take one. I'd like to invite our cakes group up again. And it is a time in rituals that we would ordinarily think and release the directions. So we'll start with the center. We usually do it backward. So we'll start with the center. Spirits of the center, above and below, we thank you and release you. Spirits of the south, of summer and sun, we thank you and release you. Spirits of the north, winter, we thank you and release you. And spirits of the west, of water and fall, we thank you and release you. And blessed be everyone. Oh, what did I forget? Sorry. Don't be mad. Sandy's laughing. Yeah, Sandy's laughing. All right, thank you. Blessed be, and that's it. And there'll be a reception in the vestry, and we hope you'll all come.